In 1917, heaven touched the earth. 3 unknown children from a remote village in Portugal, uneducated, humble, hidden from the world, received a message that would echo through the ages. In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. These weren't poetic words. They were prophetic. And more than that, they were a solemn promise from heaven. But what does that mean? What does it truly mean that the heart of Mary, pure, spotless, immaculate, will triumph? To answer that, we must look at the world she spoke into. Europe was at war. Russia would soon spread its errors across nations. Sin was multiplying like a plague. Humanity was drifting into darkness, indifference, violence, and a growing denial of God. And in the middle of that chaos, a light broke through. Not the light of philosophy or politics, but the light of hope, of certainty, of an assured victory. Mary appeared, as described in Revelation 12, clothed with the sun, holding the rosary, and carrying sorrow in her heart. She spoke of penance, prayer, and conversion. And then she unveiled the end of the story. Evil will not win. Sin will not reign forever. Satan will not have the final word. The Immaculate Heart of Mary, the heart that loved Jesus more than any other, the heart completely aligned with God's will triumph. This is not symbolic language. It is a divine prophecy. But take heed, triumph does not mean the absence of battle. Quite the opposite. Between the promise and its fulfillment, there is a battlefield, a spiritual war. Humanity still resists divine love, still mocks purity, still rejects grace. And yet, the time of mercy is not over. The triumph of Mary's heart is not just a future cosmic event. It's a personal one. Every soul that turns back to God, every heart that surrenders to Mary's heart, every life that chooses light over darkness, hastens the triumph. It won't arrive with thunder from the sky. It begins quietly, in the hidden corners of daily faithfulness, in the whispered yes of the soul. And when that yes spreads, when prayer and reparation ignite hearts like fire, then the world will witness what Mary foretold. Not a temporary peace, but a decisive victory of love over hate. A victory of her Immaculate Heart. A perfect reflection of the heart of Christ himself. Because in the end, only love will remain. And that love has a heart, an immaculate heart, a mother's heart, a heart that has already begun to triumph. There are times when heaven remains silent, and there are moments when heaven speaks. Fatima was one of those moments, not simply a private apparition, but a divine intervention in human history. The world was plunging into chaos. World War I was already soaking the earth with blood. Russia, gripped by revolution, would soon become the source of a system that denied God, dismantled the family, and led countless souls astray through militant atheism. And then, from the dust of a tiny Portuguese village, heaven broke through. Mary appeared to 3 children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta. They had no power, no status, no voice in the world. But they had faith, and it was to them that the Queen of Heaven spoke with divine authority. She spoke of war, of sin, of hell, of the suffering that awaited the Holy Father, and of the urgent need for conversion. But her message was not one of fear. It was a message of love and of hope. If what I say is heeded, many souls will be saved and there will be peace. Fatima reminds us that God is not distant from the story of the world. He is not a silent observer. When humanity veers toward destruction, when sin spreads like fire, when souls are lost, he sends his mother. And what does she bring? Not a sword, not condemnation, but a call to prayer, an invitation to penance, a plea for reparation. At Fatima, Mary revealed that there is a divine plan for history, and that plan includes you. We are not spectators at the end of time. We are part of the unfolding drama. We are instruments of mercy. Heaven has given us a role to play, and it begins with a rosary in our hands and a heart open to grace. Fatima is not just a historical event. It is a living prophecy. Its message is not over because it is still unfolding. Russia did, in fact, spread her errors. The world continues to drown in wars, ideologies, and rebellion against God. But the promise still stands, and so does the condition. If the world returns to God, if the faithful consecrate themselves, if Mary's Immaculate Heart is loved, invoked, and consoled, then the triumph will come. Heaven is not passive. It awaits our response, and that response lies in the hands of believers. Fatima shows us that history is not an out-of-control train. It is a battlefield between grace and sin, between the heart of God and hearts closed to His love. But in the end, the Immaculate Heart of Mary will triumph. Fatima is the echo of that victory, and that echo is calling you now. When Mary said, "In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph," she wasn't speaking in metaphors. She wasn't offering a poetic image. She was revealing a concrete spiritual reality. But what exactly is this triumph? Is it a visible victory? A sudden intervention? A global miracle? Yes and no. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart is not a one-time event. It is a process, a movement of grace, a quiet unfolding of heaven's victory already at work, in souls, in homes, in nations. To grasp the triumph, we must first understand what the Immaculate Heart of Mary truly is. It is the heart of the Mother of God, pure, spotless, untouched by sin. But more than that, it is a heart perfectly aligned with the will of God, a heart where sin never entered, where the yes to God was total and eternal. So the triumph is not only about visions or miraculous signs. The real triumph is when her heart wins in the world and in us. When love conquers hatred, when humility overcomes pride, when purity defeats corruption, when light scatters the darkness, not just in the skies, but within human hearts. At Fatima, Mary announced this coming victory, but she also warned it would come in the end, that is, after a great battle. And isn't that exactly what we see today? A battle between the kingdom of God and the empire of the self, between truth and deception, between the culture of life and the culture of death. But Mary is not a passive observer in this conflict. She is a queen, and her Immaculate Heart is the standard of the coming victory. What does the triumph look like? A renewal of faith across the world, the conversion of countless hearts, the purification of the church, the collapse of sinful systems, the long-promised era of peace. But make no mistake, the triumph doesn't begin on a mountaintop under the world's spotlight. It begins within you, in the soul that dares to say yes to love, in the young person who leaves sin behind, in the mother praying for a lost child, in the priest who gives all without reserve, in the sister who offers every moment of her day, in the weary heart that picks up the rosary and keeps praying. Each soul won for God, each life consecrated to Mary's heart, is a spark of the triumph to come. The world may not notice, but heaven does, and the Immaculate Heart is already winning. A great sign appeared in the sky, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars upon her head. Revelation 12 verse 1. This is one of the most striking images in all of Scripture. A woman of glory, radiant as the sun, but also engaged in battle. Before her stands a great red dragon, with 7 heads, 10 horns, and a heart full of hatred. Revelation is not just sacred poetry. It is prophecy. It is spiritual reality. From the earliest centuries, this woman has been understood to represent both the Church and Mary, the mother of the Redeemer. And she is at war. The dragon, symbolizing Satan, seeks to devour her child, attack her offspring, and ruin God's plan. But he fails, because this woman is not defenseless. She carries a weapon, her Immaculate Heart, a weapon that is silent, but powerful and utterly invincible. This battle between Mary and the serpent didn't begin at Fatima. It began in Genesis, when God declared, "I will put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. She will crush your head." That woman is Mary, and the prophecy is being fulfilled throughout history. Fatima is one of the clearest signs of this ancient conflict. Mary descended to earth to warn, to comfort, and to prepare her children. She shows us that this battle isn't abstract theology. It's real. It unfolds in classrooms, in homes, and inside the human heart. The enemy seeks to destroy innocence, erase faith, and silence truth. But Mary stands up, not with noise but with grace. She teaches with silence. She convinces with tenderness. She conquers with prayer. Her Immaculate Heart is both shield and sword. It shelters those who entrust themselves to her, and it fights with the fierce love of a mother and a queen. How many young souls have been freed from addiction through the rosary? How many families have been healed through consecration? How many sinners were saved at the final hour through her hidden intercession? This is our battle today, but it is also the beginning of the final victory. Yes, the dragon roars, but his defeat is certain. Mary, humble and obedient, triumphs with what Lucifer's pride could never endure, the power of grace. And every time you say yes to her, every time you turn from sin, every time you pray the rosary, you enter that battle. You stand with a woman clothed with the sun. You become part of the triumph to come. And one day, all will see the serpent crushed, the woman radiant, and the Immaculate Heart glorious and victorious. My Immaculate Heart will be your refuge and the way that will lead you to God. These were the words Our Lady spoke directly to Lucia, the eldest of the 3 shepherd children at Fatima. But what was entrusted to her was meant for all of us. We are living in unsettled times, crises of faith, the breakdown of the family, moral confusion, sins that cry out to heaven. And in the face of all this, Mary points to one sure refuge. Her heart, not a place to hide from the world, but a shelter where the soul is strengthened, to face the world with faith, clarity, and courage. Her Immaculate Heart is pure because it was never touched by sin, but it is also unshakably strong. Strong enough to endure the sword of sorrow at the cross. Strong enough to carry the pain of her children. Strong enough to fight evil with the quiet force of love. And Mary wants to bring us into that heart. Consecration is not just a beautiful prayer. It's a surrender. It's saying, Mother, everything I am and everything I have, I give to you. My body, my soul, my past, my dreams, my sins, my victories, all of it is yours. It means trusting her with your past, your present, and your future. Letting her shape your life after the pattern of her son. At Fatima, Mary called not only for personal consecration, but also for the consecration of nations, especially Russia. She knew what was coming. She foresaw the spread of communism, the persecution of the church, the rise of a culture of death. But she gave a promise. If Russia were consecrated to her Immaculate Heart, it would be converted. That consecration, carried out by various popes and renewed in our own time, was a prophetic act. But something even more urgent remains. Your own consecration, because the world will only change when hearts are changed, and the surest transformation begins in the hands of Mary. People often ask, how can I resist temptation? How do I prepare for what's coming? How do I remain faithful until the end? The answer is found in a mother's heart. To consecrate yourself to Mary is to make her the queen of your inner life, to live beneath her mantle, to rest in her unconditional love. And those who live consecrated to Mary do not fear the future, because when the final hour comes, the refuge will be open, the path will be clear, and the Immaculate Heart will be the gate to heaven. In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph. Since these words were spoken at Fatima, countless hearts have wondered, when will it happen? Tomorrow? This century? Has it already begun? Are we getting close? It's natural to ask these questions. We live in restless times, natural disasters, wars, crisis within the church, cracks in the family, faith under attack. It all feels like the world is moving toward a breaking point. But Mary never gave us a date. She didn't come to stir apocalyptic curiosity. She came to call us to conversion. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart will not be a spectacle. It will be a consequence of faithful prayer, of reparation, of consecration, of the hidden fidelity of the humble and the small. Here lies the key. The triumph is not tied to the clock. It is tied to our yes. The time of triumph depends on the time of love. How many souls still resist grace? How many hearts still shut out the light? Mary waits. She does not force. She waits for her children to respond. But have the signs already begun? Many believe they have. The return of the rosary in homes. A rise in Marian movements around the globe. Personal consecrations multiplying. Young people awakening to faith and purity. The quiet victory of good within hidden hearts. All of this is the dawn of the triumph. Like the first light before sunrise. It's still dark in many places, but the light is rising. The triumph is like a river that begins in silence, but one day will flood the world with peace and holiness. Are we close? Yes, if your heart is close to Mary. Yes, if you have given her your yes. Yes, if you're living in grace. Because for those who love the Virgin, the triumph has already begun. And for those still hesitating, there is still time. But it is time to act urgently. We don't know the day or the hour, but we do know this. Her heart will triumph, and she wants that victory to begin in you. Don't wait for dramatic signs. Start with small, faithful steps. A heartfelt Hail Mary, a sincere confession, a full rosary, a consecration lived with love. The triumph won't only be something we see. It will be something we become part of. And when it comes, fully as Mary promised, those who said yes will shine like beacons in the darkness. The time of triumph will be the time of peace. And that peace begins now. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary won't happen by accident. It requires a response. And that response has three names: conversion, reparation, prayer. These are the three pillars of Mary's message at Fatima. They are not vague spiritual ideals. They are concrete paths, living attitudes of the soul that prepare the world and each heart for the final victory of God's love. 1. Conversion. To convert is to change direction. It means turning away from the wide road that leads to destruction and choosing the narrow path that leads to life. Mary pleads with us in the voice of a mother. Do not offend our Lord anymore, for he is already too much offended. Conversion is not just emotion. It's a decision to recognize and renounce sin, to leave behind spiritual indifference, to choose holiness even in weakness, to cut out whatever leads you away from God, to rise again after every fall, to live in a state of grace. Where conversion begins, Mary's heart begins to reign. 2. Reparation. If sin wounds, reparation heals. At Fatima, Our Lady revealed that many souls are lost, not because God does not love them, but because no one prays for them. She asked for the first Saturday's devotion as a way to console her Immaculate Heart. But what does it mean to make reparation? It means to love where the world shows contempt, to offer sacrifices, penance, and prayers, united with the sufferings of Christ, as acts of reparation for the offenses committed against Mary and against God. Reparation is a balm to a mother's wounded heart. Where there are souls offering reparation, there is grace, consolation, and salvation. 3. Prayer. This is the weapon of the humble, the strength of the little ones. The rosary stands at the heart of the Fatima message. Mary didn't ask for speeches or debates. She asked for prayer. Pray the rosary every day, not as a ritual, but as a relationship, as an act of trust, as spiritual resistance in a world losing its way. The rosary purifies. It protects. It opens hearts to grace. Together, these three keys unlock the triumph. Conversion sets your feet on the right path. Reparation restores wounded love. Prayer sustains the journey. You don't need to be a theologian. You don't need titles or influence. You just need a heart that loves, a soul that says yes. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart will one day encompass the world, but it begins personally, in your conversion, in your reparation, in your prayer. If each of us answers Mary's call, she will keep her promise. The world will be renewed, peace will reign, and the heart of the mother will triumph. God does not choose the mighty. He chooses the small. That's how it was in Bethlehem. That's how it was in Nazareth. And that's exactly how it was in Fatima. 3 children, Lucia, Francisco, Jacinta, no power, no education, no influence, but they had what heaven values most: pure hearts. To these children, God entrusted a message that would echo through time: the triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary. And just as he began with the little ones, he will bring it to fulfillment through them. Because the world bows before strength, but God bows before humility. Mary's logic is the logic of the gospel. He casts down the mighty from their thrones and lifts up the lowly. Fatima teaches us this truth. It's not the scholars who move the heart of God the most. It's the simple, those who are hidden, who pray in silence, who offer their pain without applause, who love in the quiet hours of the day, who say yes without understanding everything, but trust completely. Francisco couldn't hear Our Lady's voice, but he felt her presence. He prayed. He offered his sufferings with love. Jacinta, though so young, embraced pain for the salvation of souls. Lucia remained faithful for nearly a century, becoming the voice of the Immaculate Heart to the world. If God used these little ones, he can use you, because the triumph of Mary won't come through the words of the powerful, but through the faithfulness of the humble. It's not the most learned who will lead the way. It's those who love the most. Maybe you think your life is ordinary, but in the kingdom of God, there is no such thing as ordinary. Every rosary prayed with faith is a brick in the house of the triumph. Every honest confession is a wall built against hell. Every hidden sacrifice is a weapon placed in Mary's hands. God's plan doesn't need spotlights. It needs surrendered hearts. And you're called to this. Your yes carries eternal weight, and Mary is counting on you. But Mother, I'm small. Yes, and that's exactly why I chose you. The little ones don't exalt themselves, but God lifts them up. And when the day of triumph comes, those who were hidden, those unknown to the world, will be known in heaven, because they said yes, because they remained faithful, because they loved. The Immaculate Heart of Mary will triumph, and it will be through the little ones that she wins. If what I ask is done, many souls will be saved, and there will be peace. Our Lady of Fatima. These words spoken by Mary and Fatima reveal heaven's longing. True peace, not political peace built on fragile treaties, not the world's peace, which tolerates injustice to avoid discomfort. Mary speaks of a peace that is real, a peace born of converted hearts, of souls reconciled with God, of families restored in faith and truth. This is not a peace of convenience. It is a gift of the Immaculate Heart, a fruit of love, a fragrance of holiness, a sign of her coming triumph. Mary promised, "In the end, my Immaculate Heart will triumph, and a period of peace will be granted to the world. But this peace won't come without a fight. It is a gift, yes, but it is also a mission. We must pray for peace, offer sacrifices for it, combat sin, both in our own lives and in the world around us, so that peace can truly take root. Because peace is not simply the absence of war. It is the presence of God. True peace begins within. When you pray the rosary with faith, when you forgive someone who hurt you, when you choose to live according to the gospel, you are already entering into the peace that Mary has promised. The peace of the world begins in the soul of each believer. If every heart becomes a sanctuary, then the world becomes a field of grace. Fatima was not only heaven's answer to the violence of the 20th century, it was also a prophetic warning for the world we live in now. Wars continue, families are under attack, faith is mocked, and humanity still resists the peace God offers through the hands of his mother. But Mary is still waiting. The promise has not expired. It stands, and peace will be granted. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart is heaven's preparation for this time of peace. It's not a fantasy. It is a real moment in history foreseen by God, when hearts will return to him and Mary will be honored as queen. Do you long for peace? Then start building it today in silent prayer, in daily faithfulness, in trusting God even when the world seems dark. The peace Mary promises is not just rest. It is a taste of God's kingdom on earth, and that kingdom will come not through power, but through love and humility. No more fear. No more spiritual coldness. There will be light. There will be faith. There will be heaven in many hearts. Because where Mary triumphs, Christ reigns. And where Christ reigns, peace is complete. Have you ever considered that the great triumph foretold by Our Lady might begin in your own heart? Many wait for dramatic signs, global upheavals, miraculous interventions, extraordinary wonders. But Mary shows us a different path. She chose Fatima. She chose children. She chose silence. She chose simplicity. Because the Immaculate Heart doesn't command. It invites. It waits. It calls. And today it's calling you. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter how far you've wandered. Mary is not looking for the perfect. She's looking for the willing. Hearts that are open to being purified. Hearts willing to be shaped. Hearts ready to be transformed. The triumph of her Immaculate Heart is not only a future event. It is a spiritual reality that can begin right now. Wherever you are, with a single Hail Mary, prayed with love, with one honest confession, with a quiet decision to surrender your life to her. You can be a spark. You can be the beginning of a fire of love. You could be the answer Mary is waiting for. Fatima was not just for 1917. It is for today. The battle between light and darkness continues. And Mary's heart is still fighting, but it will triumph. And Mary has chosen her instruments, not the famous, not the powerful, but the consecrated, the hidden, the faithful souls like you. What if the triumph begins with your change of life? With your decision to pray the rosary every day? With your secret, yes, spoken quietly but completely? Salvation history has always moved forward through the little ones. Through those who say, let it be done. Through those who give everything, even when they don't understand everything. Mary is not calling you to a theory. She's calling you to a path that is safe, holy, true, Marian. Today, you can take that first step, consecrate yourself, fall in love with the rosary, pray for sinners, offer reparation, trust, because the more hearts that are consecrated, the sooner the world will see what heaven has promised. The triumph of the Immaculate Heart of Mary, not only in the course of history, but in your personal story. The world will be renewed when hearts are renewed, and that renewal begins with a choice. Your choice. Right now, Mary is extending her hand to you, and she whispers, my child, my heart has already begun to triumph. Kulme, let it triumph in you too.